So we are recording. Excellent. So it is week. Okay, good. Good. Hopefully you remember the math that we did, but yeah. So whatever. Won't be a future issue, I promise. My kitten's here. She wants to do math with us. All right. How's your kitten doing, Beth? Thanks. How's your kitten doing, Beth? No, nice try. I was just throwing out there just in case it did offend, but it's not worth bringing up further. That's why I'm apologizing for it. He's a crazy boy. Is he still biting you? How old is your kitten now? Artis is 3.5 months. She's a monster. Her name is Princess Peach / Godzilla. Oh yeah. Eating toilet paper. Yeah, kittens are weird. I'm like, why are you doing it? She was gagging on probably toilet paper last night. I'm like, what are you doing? No. Oh, he's getting older. That's cool. Is he getting big? Yeah. She's still teeny. I got to take her in for some shots. I always feel bad. But she doesn't care. She purrs through shots. She's such a weirdo. Okay. So anyway, so does she. She could just sit and eat and yeah. So, all right. So today it is week 13. Oh, that's right. How's your puppy doing? Oh my gosh, puppies. That's a lot more, probably more work than a kitten, definitely. Oh, so she's probably mad at you guys, huh? We have to take ours in to get fixed when she's 6 months or over 6 months. Oh, I would. Wow, my daughter's hissing in the background. That's good. Very good. My daughter's hissing at herself and going, okay, calm down. All right. Anyway, so we are going to talk law of sines and law of cosines today. It's pretty straightforward. It is different and probably really hard to figure out on your own. So I'm really glad that you guys came today because it's good to see some examples of. But basically, the law of sines and the law of cosines are ways to solve triangles that are not right triangles. So that's what we're focusing on today, non-right triangles. So yeah, it's a really good lesson. If I were you guys, right after the live lesson, I would try and get that homework done because it'll be fresh in your brain. And yeah, otherwise I will, again, post this video on our Moodle page. Yeah, and hopefully we won't need a follow-up video. There's only 14 slides today, so it's a lot shorter, so we'll see. Okay, so I would definitely... Yeah, speaking of tangents, let's keep our chats focused on the math today so we don't distract. We don't want to do that. Okay, so the law of sines is right here. It says when we have a non-right triangle, like this one, so when you guys are writing this down, you're going to want to write law of sines. And this is the actual law. The sine of A over the side A. Whenever you see a lowercase letter, that stands for the side of the triangle. And the side of the triangle is always opposite the angle. So you see how we have angle A, and we go right across from it. That's side A. Yes, and let's get off of math puns and focus our efforts on the law of sines here today. My daughter's making cupcakes. All right. So what we're going to do today is this is what you would want to copy down. Okay, so this is what you would want your notes to say. This is the actual law of sines. What you do is you set up 2 of the fractions. You don't need to do all 3. All 3 is just what the actual law says. And then you're just cross multiplying. That's it. And you're going to use inverse trig functions to find a missing angle. And I will show you how to do that. But what you're going to want to write down for the law of sines is sine of angle A. Angle is always the capital A. And then side is always the lowercase letter. And the sides are opposite the angles. So if you look at side C here, side C is opposite angle C. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you for my cupcakes. Angle B is opposite side B. So go ahead and get that copied down, and when you are done, hit the hand raising button found on the participants list, I believe. So once you're done copying that down, hit your hand raising button. Because you definitely want to have that copied down along with some examples, but this is the main thing. You don't really need to write this stuff down, but you can if you choose to. I should probably open my participants list. Well, I don't need to. It tells me how many of you have your hands raised. It's really cool. 6 participants, 7, 8. It's pretty nifty. Just need 4 more of you guys. Actually, probably 3 more, because I think it counts me. Let's see. Oh, just Frankie, your dad, and Cassandra. That's who I'm waiting on right now.
I have my hand raised.
Oh, sorry, Dallas. That's Dallas, not Frankie. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. So Dallas, your dad, and Cassandra. Okay, now just Dallas and Cassandra. Oh, wow. Feeding me lots of cupcakes today, Lizzie. These are delicious. In the back of your truck? Okay. Dallas, Cassandra.
Look, I made a cupcake.
Cupcake in a mug, guys. Look at this. She's getting fancy. Yummy. Thank you, Liz. All right. Dallas, how we doing? Still writing? Oh, am I cutting out for the rest of you guys? Okay. Cassandra, maybe try going out and coming back in. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Don't put more stuff there. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so when, oh, you guys can put your hands down. Go ahead and put those down. That little counter thing is so cool. When do we use the law of sines? Okay, so this is also something you need to know. You could write it down or you could screenshot this one. I think it's more important to write down the examples and the actual law, but if Yeah, if you're writing your notes, this is a good thing to write down. So the law of sines is used. We have to know these things. We have to have two angles and the included side. So that refers to this diagram right here. This is the first situation we would use the law of sines. If we have two angles and the included side. The included side is the side in between those angles. Okay, so that's the first situation we would use. Can you hear me, Kaden?
Mom, give me your arm.
Oh. Ow, Lizzie, don't. Yeah. Yeah, we've got some funny technicality issues going on. It's okay. So, yeah, that's the first one there. Thankfully, Caden's a tech wizard, so he'll be out and in once he's good to go. Okay, so that's the first situation. You know two angles and the included side. Then you can use the law of sines to go out. It's good. Okay. It's really garbled. Is it garbled for you guys, Stella, Casey, all of you guys? Okay. Go out and come back. And if that doesn't work, then I will post. Yeah, right? Is it like a virus that's spreading? Oh gosh. The video on Moodle. That's the virus. Death Eater 9000 virus. No, I'm just kidding. I see that's someone's name. Okay, second situation where we can use the law of sines is if we know two angles and a not included side. So that's like over here. So if you have two angles that are right next to each other and then the side next to it that's not between those sides, that's when you can use the law of sines. And the third situation is if you know two sides and a two sides this time. This one's two angles, this one's two sides, and a non-included angle. Okay, so these are the three circumstances that you can use the law of sines. If you don't have these circumstances, then it will not work to use the law of sines. Then you might have to use the law of cosines. I'm going to mute for a second and get my daughter interested in not putting stuff on my writing tablet. There we go. So you guys go ahead and write that down or screenshot whatever is easiest for you. Okay, I think she waits until I am speaking and then decides to interrupt. That's what she does. My darling child. That's okay. She's my little buddy. Okay. Does anybody need more time to copy that down? If you need more time, say something in chat or forever hold your peace. Remember, I will be posting this immediately after the session on Moodle. Hold peace. Okay, so Frankie is holding her peace. All right. Okay, let's do it this way again. I think I wasn't clear when I said it. Let's have you raise your hand again if you are good to go and ready to move on. Thank you. And if you are not good to go, have your hand down until you are ready to move on. Dallas, are you still writing or are you good? And Miss Franke, what about you? Okay. Beautiful. What about you, Dallas? You're good. Okay. Do you know where the hand raising feature is, Dallas? It's on the participants menu. Okay. Cool. Hannah, are you still writing? Tyler's here. Hi, Tyler. Okay, so I think I will move on. Go ahead and lower your hands, just in case, because I think we'll keep using that. It's a useful thing there. All right, so this is the first example. You're definitely going to want to write this down. I won't do the raise your hand thing for this. I'm going to assume you're kind of writing as we do, just so we don't waste too much time. But I will do the raising your hand thing on the real wordy stuff. Okay. So in this example here, we are given two angles and a non-included side. All right, so we have two angles and a non-included side. If we look at our list, two angles and a non-included side, that is our second situation where we can use the law of sines. So we're going to set up the ratios like this, and it really doesn't matter which one you label as side A or side B. It just talks about having an angle and the opposite side. So that's what we'll do as our first one. We're going to pick an angle and the one that has an opposite side. So if we look at this 8 and this 30, this one has both an angle and an opposite side. So that's the one we'll start with. So we're going to say the sine of the angle over its opposite side, which is 8, is equal to, now we're going to do the sine of the other angle and its opposite side, which is usually one or two of those would be missing. So we have the angle, so we'll say sine of 55 over, and we don't know the side there. And that's going to be our x. Our side we don't know. Or you could call it a, however. So you don't have to hang up, because not all of your triangles are going to be labeled A, B, or C. So that's why it's important not to get hung up on the letters. Just start with which one has both a side and an angle there. And now we're going to cross multiply, just like we did with ratios. We're going to multiply this way and then this way. So we're going to say 8 times the sine of 55. Remember, sine of 55 is just a number. It's like a radical, or it's like pi or something. You're just kind of keeping it together so that you don't have a big decimal. Equals x times the sine of 30. So that's after I cross multiply. Okay, Kaden, just do the best you can. If it's too annoying, I won't fault you for leaving the session and then just watching the video, but you would just have to email me a summary or something. So, okay, so now I want to solve for that x. What do I do to solve for that x? What would I do there? How do I get rid of that times the sine of 30? Go ahead and put it in chat. I see that Death Eater has her hand raised. Death Eater 9000. What would I do? Go ahead and type it in chat.
Can I just say it?
Yes, as long as it's not too crazy audio-wise, and it sounds fine. So go ahead, yes.
You would divide by sine 30.
Perfect. You are right. Thank you. So we're going to divide by the sine of 30.
Mom, can I go outside?
Not right now, Peanut. Okay.
Mama, I love when from my friends and waiting outside for me.
Okay, after this, okay? Okay, so then this cancels. And this right here is very easily typed into Desmos, just like that. I would totally use Desmos here. So we'll exit for a second and then go to Desmos. I have it saved in my bar there. Be gentle with Kitty. Kaden, be gentle with the kitten. No, I'm just kidding. I'm talking to my daughter. So we're going to go, remember, we're in degree mode. You can see that on my calculator here. We're going to go 8, times, oh, it's being annoying with my little pad there. 8 times the sine of 30. Oh, and I might have to, I'm going to hit backspace on that. What I do for Desmos is I highlight the whole thing and hit divide, and I should probably do sine of 55. Hey guys, sine of 55, there we go. Divided by the sine of 30. I hit enter, I'm gonna clear this writing. So we can see that our missing side, it'll tell us, what to round to in Math Excel. It always tells you, just make sure you look at it, but it would be 13.1 about, we'll say. So we're gonna say our missing side is 13.1. So, make sense? We're just setting up a ratio, and that makes sense, because look, this side is a smaller angle, and the smaller angle goes with the smaller side. This side is a bigger angle, the bigger angle goes with the bigger side. So it makes sense. If you got a number that's lower than 8, then you know you might have done something wrong here. Because it should always be bigger. All right, 1 second. So, go ahead. If you have a question, type it in chat. I'm gonna refocus my daughter a little bit. All right. What do we do if we are given all of the angles? If you're given all of the angles, does Math Excel have you calculate like the sine and like all of that different, Beth? Like, are they having you calculate the sine and then round the number? If you are given all of the angles, I believe that is not the law of sines. Okay, so I'll have to check into what Math Excel is showing, because you know it should be the same thing, just maybe a different way to get the answer. But and all of the angles would not be law of sines. So we'll get to that. All right. Great questions, you guys. Keep them coming. Okay, in this one here, we are given 2 angles and an included side. Okay, Beth, I'll have to see what that is, because it should be, yeah, you'll get the same answer, totally. So do they really have you focus on which one is angle A and which one's angle B and all that stuff? Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's, if you want it, I'll show it that way for this one. And if you want to do that, that's okay. But you'll get the same answer. So, okay. Yes, and I will look into that, but you'll get the same answer either way. So for this one, let's follow it how Math Excel does it. Math Excel really holds to the A, B, 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 C, C. So we'll do that. Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll give you the same answer. That's weird. I've only seen it with the sign on top. Yeah. And you could do that to get the missing angle. Yeah. We will have to do that, but one second, we're not quite there yet. Okay, let's get back on this problem here. But yeah, Beth, that would give you the same answer. If they're flipping these ratios, as long as you're flipping all of them, it's the same thing. But this is the usual way I've seen it. So, okay. So we are going to focus on which one has an angle and a side. And you can kind of see here, we really don't have an angle and a side. We don't have that. So we're going to do what Death Eater is suggesting. We would remember that all of the angles of a triangle add up to 180, and we would subtract all the angles that we know to figure out the angle that we're missing. That's the first thing we would do. So now we have an angle and its opposite side. So that's the one that we're going to start our ratios with. We're going to go the sine of that angle over its opposite side equals the sine of my other angle. Now we got to figure out which one do I want to put in here. Do I put angle B or angle C in there? What do you guys think? Someone raise your hand and tell me which angle would go in there. B, yeah. Yeah, and we'll, friendly reminder, let's raise our hands. But
Jingle bell, jingle bell.
no, I can't open this. Get a smaller sucker. Look at what she hands me. I'm like, no.
Jingle bell,
Go get a
jingle bell,
smaller
jingle
sucker.
water.
I can't open. Crazy daughter. Okay. So yes, we're gonna do angle B. Why would we go with angle B? Death Eater, why would we go with angle B? Why did she say that one? Yeah, because that angle is opposite the side we need to find. Yeah, we don't really need to find anything across from angle C, so we don't need to worry about that one. So we're going to say equals the sine of the other angle over the side that we're looking for. No, she isn't. Yeah, I apologize if that offends, but yeah, she decided today was a day to hang out in her undies, so whatever. It's just us and the windows are closed. So, right? Yeah. She's just kind of all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, all right then. But we'll fix that before we go to school today. Yeah. Okay. So now we have our ratios and we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to go 16 times the sine of 80 equals B times the sine of 66. And then it's the same deal. It's like solving a one-step equation here. The way to cancel out multiplying by the sine of 66 is to divide by the sine of 66. So then in Desmos, I would type in 16 times the sine of 80 divided by the sine of 66. So I would go 16 sine of 80, and then I highlight the whole thing and hit divide. And then I would hit divide and then do the sine of 66 and then hit enter. So I am left with a value there for my missing side of, yeah, that's what it is. Okay, go sit now, of 17.2. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I know that was loud. All right, so 17.2 is that missing side there. Right, I apologized. I'm sorry. Can't prevent everything, right? Okay, so 17.2 is my missing side. So there is that. Okay, now with this last example for the law of sines, this is how we would find a missing angle. So again, we're going to focus our ratios on the sides that were given, the side and the angle. Oh, was it? Did I make a rounding error? Let me check. It could be. No, that would still be 17.2. Yeah, what you did is you kind of rounded twice. If we're just going to round, I totally see why you think that. If we're just going to round to the nearest tenth, which is what I did, then we would focus on the 2 and use just the number next to it to decide if it stays the same or bumps up. So 4 is not 5, so it stays 17.2. But if I wanted to round to the nearest hundredth, then that 8 would mean the 4 goes to a 5. And then I wouldn't round again. I would just do the one thing. So great question. Yeah, I totally get that. Okay, so for this example, we're going to start our ratio with the sides that we're given. So we're given angle A and side A. So we're going to say the sine of 110 divided by 55, because that's the angle we're given over the side we're given. And then now we're going to kind of look at what's going on here. I don't have anything by angle B, so I don't need to worry about B, but I am given a question mark at angle C, so that's what we want to find, and I'm given the side. So now I'm going to say the sine of C over 20 there. Okay. Sorry, I heard a leaving noise. I was just curious who left. Okay. So sine of 110 over 55 equals the sine of C over 20. And that's because we're not given angle C, but the side across from it is that 20. Any questions on how we set that up? And again, we're just following the formula. That's it. Start with the angle and side you're given, and then the other one, fill in from there. Okay. So now we're going to cross multiply. We're going to go 55 times the sine of C equals 20 times the sine of 110. And what would I divide by to start getting that C by itself? Go ahead and raise your hand. But looking at this side, what would I divide by to start the process of getting the C by itself? I got to say this name right. Is it Himiko? Toga? Himiko? Did I say it right? Oh, right. Okay. What would I divide by? 55. Yep. Yeah, and that's important to know because you can't get rid of the sign right away. You can only get rid of that 55. It's pretty. So we're left with the sine of C equals 20 times the sine of 110 divided by 55. And now here's where we're going to use those inverse functions to get to the angle. So the only way to get rid of the sine is to do the inverse sine. So we're going to go to Desmos, and we're going to do the sine to the -1 thing of all of that. So I was sure that was from an anime. You guys are animaniacs. That used to be a cartoon I used to watch. Okay, so we're going to type in, and I'm going to erase some of this stuff just so you guys can actually see what we're doing here. Because we're trying to get to the angle, this is where we need that inverse. It's a good show. That inverse function. So we're going to click on function. We're going to go to the inverse sine. No, it's not an anime. Not at all. Cartoon. And we're going to type in, and the important thing is we want to take the inverse sine of the whole fraction. So we're going to type in 20 times the sine of 110. And we just want to divide that middle part, not this inverse sine, by 55. Then I hit enter, and I see that we get an angle. If we round it up, it would be about, because that 8 rounds that 9 up, rounds the 19 up. What would our angle be, Wolfstalker? Oh, were you just testing the feature? Oh, got it, got it. Okay, Stella, what do you think? What's our angle going to be? 20. Yep, our angle is 20 degrees. Very good. So yeah, that would be angle C, 20 degrees. No, it's fine. Totally fine. No big deal. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the law of cosines. So guys, go ahead and write this down. This is the law of cosines. It's a little crazy, but there are certain situations where you have to use it. It'll actually help you figure out which one. So we'll write that down. But the actual law of cosines tells us to take the side. So we're focusing on side C here for this one. So the side that you're given or that you're looking for equals your other two sides squared minus 2 times your other two sides times the angle opposite that starting side. So if I wanted to like switch this around letters wise, I could totally do that. But just know that your angle that you're given or looking for is the one opposite that side you start with. And then all you need are the other two sides. So write that formula down. I'll show you how to use it. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up the equation. Side C and angle C need to go together. It is. It totally is. You're going to use algebra and maybe the inverse functions to solve. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. You guys write that down, and then once you are ready, hit raise your hand. Yeah, I want you to have it down. Because I know it's kind of crazy. And we're not going to get hung up on the letters, remember? It's just the side that you start with relates to the angle you're using. And the other two sides are just the other two sides of the triangle. Yeah, just raise your hand when you're good to go. Yeah, it's different, but once you get in the flow of it, totally good. You got to get used to it. It's weird. It looks like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy formula, and I'll give you the situations where we're going to use the law of cosines, because there are very specific situations. Yeah, I know. Little crazy. Yep, and when you're done, just put your hand up. Okay, very good. We have 12 participants. Very good. Okay, go ahead and put your hands down because you'll have to put them up again for this one. So when we use the law of cosines, it means we have all three sides, two sides, and the included angle. So I don't believe you can use any of these laws if you just have all three angles. You really need to have a side measurement. Trying to think. Yeah, it mainly goes with side. So if you have all three angles, I don't believe that that would fall under the law of sines. I'm going to Google that because I'm really curious about that while you guys write this down. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. Type it right here. So what trig function do we, no, not trig function. What law do we use when given three sides of a non-right triangle? Yeah, it does not work if you just have the angles. I think I'll have to look into what you do then. Yeah, so you'll always be given at least one angle there. And if you aren't, it probably means that that it's like cannot be done or something like that. So the law of cosines is used when we have all three sides and then two sides and the included angle. So these situations do not work for the law of sines. Law of sines, you need to have at least one or two angles there. And law of sines does not work if you have two sides and then the included angle. And remember, included means it's always in between those two sides. Okay? Cool. So Death Eater, you guys are still writing down. Remember, put your hand up when you're ready to move on from this slide. Then we'll go through some examples here. Pardon my yawning. It's not because I'm super tired or I'm bored by this conversation or anything crazy like that. My allergies are so bad, and when I yawn, it helps me get a deep breath of air in. Yeah. And I've one Benadryl into the day. I gotta go get my Zyrtec. Oof. I'm not. I love trig. Oh my gosh. And teaching you guys, it's my favorite. Yeah, Zyrtec is good stuff. Helps. Okay, Jana, how we doing? Tyler, Kaden. No rush, just want to make sure you got your stuff down. All right, okay. Oh, she loves her mama. Okay, go ahead and put your hands down, friends. There we go. So now we're going to start with the law of cosines. So we're going to start by focusing on that angle, because whatever angle we're focusing on, that's the side that you start with. So we are given the 50-degree angle. So that means I'm going to start my law of cosines with the side opposite from it, which is what we're looking for, x. So we're going to say x squared equals, And then I just need to take the other two sides and add them and square them. Doesn't matter what order, doesn't matter. 7 squared plus 11 squared minus 2. And then I would just keep it in the same order. Times 7 times 11 times that cosine of the angle opposite from that side you started with, which is 50. Lots of algebra stuff there. And what I would do, you can solve it piece by piece. You can do that. It's always a better idea to do that. So it's always a better idea to say, well, I know 7 squared is 49 and 11 squared is 121. Whoa. Tyler, do you have a question, or are you just saying that you're good to move on if we need to? If you have a question, go right ahead, my friend. Oh, is that this part here? Oh, Death Eater, you got that part. No question. Okay, so this one's 121, and then Death Eater multiplied it for us. I always multiply what I know first. So I know 7 times 2 is 14, or I could do 7 times 11, which is 77. So 2 times 77, and then that's just 2 77s. And I don't add or whatever in my head because that's always a mistake. 154, you are right, chica. So then we can take it a little further. Oh, I could probably add those guys too. Oops, I wrote it wrong. Jen. 4, 5, 6, 7. 170, right? So you can do this just to get it down as far as possible. Now, what you can't do, you got to be careful. A lot of people do this. It looks like you could totally do 170 minus 154, right? Totally looks like that, but we can't do that. Why? Why can't we do 170 minus 154? What do you guys think? Cassandra, what do you think? Oh, hand down. Okay. Yeah, and then Dallas, Emiko, Death Eater, is that what you were going to say? Do you have anything to add there? PEMDAS, yeah. Oh, that's okay, no problem. Yeah, you're right. All of those reasons are right. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's just calculating. So, as Beth said, as Emiko said, what we want to make sure is that we're following the rules of PEMDAS. Multiplication always comes first, and it's being multiplied by that cosine of 50. So what I would do is I would go to Desmos. Toga. Am I saying Emiko wrong? It's really fun to say it, but am I saying it wrong?
Himiko.
Himiko.
Himiko. Yeah.
Himiko. Okay. All right, I gotcha. All right, so we're going to type it in. We're going to go 170 minus 154 times the cosine of 50. Oh, and now check it out. Check out how we have this x squared. What are we going to have to do to all of this to undo that x squared? We're going to square root it. Yeah, so we could just type that in right away. We could, I would even highlight that whole thing and then hit square root. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, so do square root first. Do 170 minus 154 cosine 50. Enter. So I'm going to clear off my work there for a second. So that means my missing side is going to be about 8.4. and really pay attention to the where Math Excel tells you to round stuff to, okay? Really pay attention to that. So I'm just looking at our time here, and unfortunately my wordiness has gotten the best of us. I think I have 2 more examples. Yeah. But what I'll do is I will make you a video of those last 2 examples and I'll put it right on Moodle, just so I don't keep you guys over, okay? So that's all I have for you here. Yeah, we got through everything. It's just there are 2 more law of cosine examples I will put on Moodle underneath this video, okay? Does anybody have any questions? If you do, feel free to hang out. Otherwise, you are all free to go. Bye. Thanks for coming.